When you farm, you're always competing against your top season. Every moment is clutch. So those who push for the best choose DeKalb corn, featuring exclusive genetics for seed bred to emerge strong, stand tall, and maximize yield potential. Wherever you compete, winning has roots. Perform at your best all season long with DeKalb corn. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
In the last 30 years, no other crop has seen more advancements than the soybean. And Asgrow soybeans are proud to be an essential part of this progress, featuring 100% exclusive genetics to elevate your performance, products designed for better net profit per acre, and consistent weed control and increased yield potential every season. That's why Asgrow soybeans lead the way. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
8 minutes after 7 o'clock is news time on this Wednesday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. And the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. No contested races highlighted the election in DeWitt County from Tuesday. Looking at the DeWitt County Board in District A, incumbents Buck Carter and Jamie Prestergaard were reelected. Joe Whitty has been elected to represent District A on the DeWitt County Board. In District B, incumbent Terry Ferguson is being reelected. Patrick Ryan and John Wirtz will be elected to represent District B on the county board. In District C on the DeWitt County Board, incumbent Megan Myers is reelected. Tom Ferris and Christina Deerwester have been elected to represent the District C in the DeWitt County Board. And finally, District D highlights the reelection of 3 incumbents, Melanie Tilley, Dan Matthews, and Brian Riddle. Additionally, DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker has been reelected to his post. DeWitt County will have a new treasurer and a new county clerk. Sarah Jade Russell will take over as county treasurer, and county clerk Carrie Harris has been elected to precede Dana Smith, who is retiring. Voter turnout on Tuesday was roughly 60% in DeWitt County. The DeWitt County chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution is hosting a Saturday Veterans Roundtable discussion to highlight the stories of local veterans. Edith Brady Lunny with DAR says the event will be this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the American Legion building in Clinton. It will highlight a trio of local veterans, moderated by Nelson Thorpe, a veteran himself.
On Saturday, the DeWitt Clinton chapter of the DAR is going to be working with the American Legion and AMVETS on a special Veterans Day event that will feature a panel of 3 local veterans who will answer questions, share their stories of their service. So we're going to have 3 local veterans. We're going to have Jesse Owens, who served more than 30 years in the Army. We have Mark Rogers, who served in Vietnam, and Ron DeVore, who served during the Korean War.
On the WHOW morning show Tuesday, Edith Brady Lunny told Regional Radio the idea for this stemmed from some successful community forums they held in conjunction with the Prairie Flyers exhibit at the C.H. Moore Homestead. She believes you cannot highlight local veterans and their stories enough.
We're fortunate to have Nelson Thorpe with us on that day to moderate. So we have kind of some questions that'll help guide the discussion. We want them to talk about their service, some of the highlights of their service, and we want them to have a chance to share their personal stories. That it's just an opportunity that veterans don't get very often. Well, one of the things that I learned, and John Warner and Dennis Hambuchen learned as we put together those 5 events, was there's a real audience here in DeWitt County for veterans to tell their stories. We had a packed room really for all 5 of the events, but the 4 that featured veterans telling their own stories, answering questions were very popular. So we thought, well, since we kind of have that started in the community, maybe it'd be good to continue that and ask a different group of veterans to come and share their story.
Thorpe says he has not heard the stories of his fellow veterans that will be a part of the event. He believes it will be good to hear the experiences these individuals had.
Well, Edith called me and asked if I wouldn't mind moderating, and I don't mind a bit. And I always like to hear their stories too. I was fortunate to have a father that talked about his experience in World War II. And I was one of those guys that came back during the Vietnam era, which was quite an experience. It wasn't anything like World War II or even the Korean War veterans had at the time. So trying to tell people what your side of the story is really important to me. And I hope that I can facilitate this, maybe answer some questions that the public has or these guys have never told before. And sometimes it's even good to kind of story of getting it off your chest. And the fact that I don't want to say we're bragging or anything like that. It was, we want to try to emphasize we did it. Okay, then why did you do that? Well, we can say love of country, the flag, and just an experience that you'd never have before. It was a different experience. In my case, 3 years of my life that I thought I could forget, and you remember it every day.
The event again is Saturday, November 12th at the American Legion building in Clinton at 2 p.m. A proposed wind farm on Logan County's east side near the National Weather Service has residents in that area concerned. Dave Opperman farms in Logan County, and Kristen Peterson is a resident near Beeson. Both are concerned about the proximity of this project near the National Weather Service office just outside of Lincoln. Peterson indicates her property was hit by a tornado this past summer, and there was little warning of the storm. She attributes that to wind farms in the area and says it would be worse with this proposed wind farm called Top Hat.
On Saturday, the DeWitt on Saturday.
Well, this project is primarily on the east side of Logan County. They want to walk away with 60 turbines. There's 63 sited spots where they intend to place turbines at this point. They intend to plant 60 of them. That's their goal. Our big concern is that there's approximately, there's over the 50%, I think there's 60% of these are actually in what we call a mitigation zone, and that's documented by the National Weather Service. That's an area that will have definite impacts. The turbines will have definite impacts upon the accuracy of the Doppler radar. And we feel that it is a valid safety concern to have those turbines within that mitigation zone. Basically, that's an 11-mile arc from the Lincoln Doppler radar. And that is a huge concern. Invenergy is the overarching company. Top Hat is the name of this particular wind farm that they've tagged it as.
A couple of years ago, the DeWitt County residents fought really hard to keep these turbines that were placed inside close to that mitigation zone out of DeWitt County because of the impacts to the radar. So when you put these large turbines that are 600 feet tall in that radar line of sight, it actually can prevent the meteorologists from predicting forming tornadoes. And recently in August, in the spring, they put up the turbines in DeWitt County against the residents' concerns. They went ahead and approved the project. They're 580 feet tall, and they're about 3 miles from my house. So the impact to the radar is, I feel those impacts. And in August, we had a tornado that formed in Beeson, and it actually hit my house directly, and we did not get a warning. And we do feel strongly that placing those turbines in the spring impacted the ability of the Weather Service to issue that warning. So we feel that putting more of these turbines that are actually taller, because the ones proposed for this site are 615 feet tall, then they're going to be significantly closer inside this mitigation zone, is going to further put a lot more risk to citizens, including Beeson and the surrounding areas. We won't be able to get those on-time weather alerts. And we feel that even though they're signed an agreement with the Weather Service to curtail these, it's been proven that even when they're not rotating, they're impacting the radar.
Opperman indicates he has spoken with officials at the National Weather Service in Lincoln and points out some are not thrilled with the proposed project. They are hoping the Logan County Board would consider restricting these being erected at an 11-mile distance from the National Weather Service office.
I have talked to several of them at the National Weather Service. They're not overly impressed with having these turbines this close. It does interfere with their ability to give accurate weather data. You know, they've got a mitigation zone for a reason. It's proven to be too close to the Doppler radars. And because of that, you know, there are repercussions. And they did put together this agreement that, like Kristen was saying, they're supposed to turn them off when inclement weather's coming. But there are storms that will develop within the footprint of this wind farm. And what if the turbines are actively turning, how can the Doppler radar pinpoint those severe storms, and how can they accurately depict those when the turbines are turning? I mean, if they turn them off, they might get a heads up from someplace else when a storm's approaching. But even then, the accuracy of the data is skewed because of the turbines that are here, even if they're stationary.
We aren't asking for a lot. We know Logan County has approved several wind projects. We're actually going to be surrounded now. And what we're asking is that the Logan County Board keep that 11-mile benchmark free of turbines. You know, out of the 619 miles in Logan County, I think it's fair to say that we could keep, you know, the 11-mile radius free of these turbines so that we can protect the ability to predict these storms and keep the residents safe. So our wind ordinance is significantly lacking. It's minimal compared to other counties in regards to setback, noise level. There's nothing in our wind ordinance that protects residents against ice throw, which is a significant concern as well, considering we get a lot of ice storms in this area. So that would put a lot of residents at risk, even if they're just driving by and they're, you know, that wind turbine's close to the road, that ice can still be thrown. So again, our wind ordinance is significantly lacking compared to other counties. Unfortunately, we did not go to the county board and try to get that amended before this project came through. So it's too late now to try and get it amended. What we would ask the board is that they deny the turbine permits within that 11 miles, and then that we readjust our wind ordinance to account for that.
With a couple of wind farm projects up for consideration going on in Logan County currently, another just south of the Top Hat project, Opperman points out those two projects would give Logan County roughly one turbine for every 2 square miles. He wonders when enough is enough. Peterson says the issue of wind turbines has become something she's concerned about since her move to the rural area.
You know, that's a tough question, Seth. I will leave you with this. Currently, we have around 200 windmills in Logan County. If this one and there's one west of town in the Middletown area come to fruition, that'll put us around the 300 number, which equates to approximately one turbine for every 2 square miles if you were to spread them out in Logan County. And I guess my thing is, at what point is enough enough? I mean, you know, our big concern with this project, like we've said numerous times, is the safety of the residents and the mitigation zone. Everybody has to do what's right with them. I get that, but let's not just jump over each other trying to put more windmills in without thinking this through solidly.
I honestly wasn't paying much attention to these wind turbines as they were being put up. I did notice after I moved into my property that about a year after I moved in, there were like flashing red lights dotting the horizon. And I had no idea what it was. I actually thought it was some sort of airport that was being put in. So I, you know, was against adding any more of those wind farms that they cause such a nuisance in my eyes throughout the county or the countryside. I think a lot of these non-participating landowners, they move into the country, they enjoy the peace and quiet. And these turbines that are being put up, they have the flashing red lights, they're noisy, they obstruct the views. So I think overall, yes, I am against wind turbines, but in this particular project, I think the main concern would be the safety, not just that they're visibly ugly, in my opinion.
Opperman has concerns about a private airway landing strip in the footprint of the project, as well as a refuge for eagles in the area.
Well, there are other concerns. Locally in our area, there's a private landing strip a gentleman has There's a couple of turbines that are too close to that for the safety of that landing strip. And there's a lot of bald eagles that are in the Salt Creek corridor. Like I say, they're all over the place. They need to be respected. There are active nesting sites. So turbines in that area shouldn't be placed in that area. To Kristen's earlier point about the 11-mile radius, if we were to keep those out of that mitigation zone, we wouldn't have to worry about a contract that had holes in it that was going to be tough to enforce. And that would keep them from having to turn the turbines off selectively throughout the year when there's bad weather. So to me, that makes a lot of sense just to delete those turbines from that mitigation zone. And then we wouldn't have to worry about weather agreements and all those kind of things per se that would need to be held up.
Other concerns offered by Opperman and Peterson include ice throw and the uncertainty of what that could mean for residents, as well as the fact that many of the leases for the turbines are with absentee landowners. The Logan County Board has a working session for the project tomorrow night at the Logan County Courthouse in downtown Lincoln. 23 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday morning. Plenty more to get to coming your way on the WHOW Morning Show.
Are you a friend of agriculture? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We're giving a $500 Friends of Ag discount to anyone that orders a new Chevrolet or Buick to be built just for you this month. Are you a friend of ag? You are if you're a member of any ag organization employed by any ag-related business, including research, inputs, manufacturing, sales, and marketing, and of course, ag education. Come in, order yours today. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
24 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday morning. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Governor J.B. Pritzker sailed to re-election Tuesday in a triumphant victory speech. He sounded more like a candidate for president with the clarion call, "Are you ready to fight?" in warning against extremism and former President Donald Trump's treasonous insurrection, which he said too many Republicans embrace. The Democrats seized a second term over Republican State Senator Darren Bailey, who eagerly sought Trump's endorsement and in a Chicago speech underscored by frequent chants of JB, hinted at pursuing an agenda that is far larger than Springfield. Ever the student of history, Governor Pritzker, Illinois' third Jewish governor, noted the state's first, Henry Horner, took office in 1933 in the darkest days of the Great Depression and with European fascism spawning. Pritzker boosted his national profile this year with a trip to the early primary state of New Hampshire and by raising millions of dollars for Democrats nationwide. When pressed by Bailey, saying if reelected, he intended to serve the entire 4 years and supported Joe Biden for reelection in 2024. In a brief concession speech in Springfield, Bailey, who has served as single 2-year terms in both the House and Senate, promised his career in public service is not ending, but, quote, "I'm going back to work to protect freedom, create jobs, and safeguard the streets." Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth won re-election Tuesday in Illinois, defeating political newcomer and lawyer Kathy Salvi. Duckworth, an Iraq war veteran, lost both legs when her helicopter was shot down in 2004, has served in Congress for nearly a decade. Between 2013 and 2017, she represented Illinois' 8th congressional district northwest of Chicago. The 54-year-old was elected to the Senate in 2017, beating out incumbent Republican Mark Kirk, and in April 2018 became the first U.S. senator to give birth while in office. Salvi, a Chicago area personal injury lawyer, edged out 6 competitors to win the primary in June. The 63-year-old campaigned as an alternative for voters looking for a change from soaring prices and high crime rates. Just 1 hour after polls closed in Illinois, Salvi's campaign said she called to congratulate Duckworth on the win. Democratic Representative Sean Casten defeated Republican Keith Pekow in the U.S. House race for the 6th district, remaining the seat for a third term and helping Democrats striving to maintain control of Congress. The district is just west of Chicago. The scientist and businessman turned politician raised and spent over 4 times that of PCOW, despite an 11th hour assist from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who appeared at a campaign fundraiser with PCOW 4 days before the election. A statement from Kasten's campaign announcing his victory characterized the win as constituent stamp of approval for his voting record, including climate protection and gun reform legislation. Illinois lost one of its 18 House seats after the 2020 census. Democrats, who control state government and redistricting in Illinois, received pushback for the new maps from Republicans and beyond. The race for the 13th district, which spans Champaign, Decatur, and Springfield in central Illinois down to East St. Louis in the southwest, has also garnered attention. Redistricting bumped incumbent Rodney Davis into a different district, where he lost to Representative Mary Miller, who was endorsed by former President Donald Trump. Democrat Nikki Budzinski from Peoria defeated Republican Regan Deering of Decatur for that district seat. The Mississippi River is hitting record lows, and farmers are feeling the pinch of how to move their grain with high prices practically on everything. Farmers are now facing a drying Mississippi River. Illinois Farm Bureau President Rich Giebert says it's crunch time for farmers.
Well, it is a challenge, and has been for the last 3 weeks. We're very fortunate here at our elevator that's on the Kaskaskia River. They got their last barge to fill Wednesday, and it looks like maybe midweek or the end of next week before they'd get any more barges. If you don't have on-farm storage right now, you pretty much park the combine or put the grain on a pile in a shed or something, because the elevators are not taking any grain. It's going to be tough here, and hopefully we get some showers coming in tonight, get a little bit more water, raise the water level on the lower Mississippi, particularly south of St. Louis. I know there's some real issues up on the Illinois, up in LaSalle County and that area, and then anywhere south of St. Louis, because of low water levels on the Missouri and the Ohio that usually feeds the Mississippi River.
According to Giebert, the low levels hurt the nation's coupled supply chain. As a result, farmers are turning to semis, which are also facing high diesel prices. 29 minutes after the hour here on this Wednesday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.